So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get myself out of the way today because we have a very special treat, a very special message coming right after this amazing event. But what I want to do, I want to introduce someone to you. The individual I'm going to have come up next has been leading the charts within her organization and all of ACN. You've heard from her, yes, her, before. And this individual, when I look at her, I had the honor and privilege of meeting with her over the weekend. And just her presence alone just reminds you of perseverance and the actual willpower. And that's amazing because she's had every reason that people give up, not just in business, but in life. But instead of her giving up, you know what? She found her reason why. So without further ado, I would like to bring up my new good friend, best friend, all the way from California, Miss Marie Belena. Are you there, ma'am?
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Clemens, for that introduction. I know this is a surprise, but I'm here to give back the honor back to Mr. Clemens. He's doing everything. He's the man behind the scene. Thank you for all your efforts. But I have the privilege to introduce our guest speaker for today. He hails from San Diego. He's a loving father, a coach, a leader who has helped a lot of people gain success in ACN. He's a servant leader with a golden heart, and he leads by example. I wouldn't be here in ACN without his mentorship and guidance. I urge everyone to take your notes, take your pens, and take a lot of notes and listen really well, because he will be sharing a lot of gems today. And I urge you also to follow whatever is going to teach you, because it will elevate your business and your personal life. Let me take myself out of the way and give it to you, Mr. Julian Lewis.
Oh, Miss Marie Belena, that was very, very sweet of both of you and Jabri. Yeah, I didn't expect that. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, let me mute myself. We're going to do something. I was excited. I thought you were going to do some part of the training. You still can, Marie, if you want. No? Okay. But I'm so grateful, honored, and I am privileged to be able to work with Marie. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, us being friends for years, I know how busy she is. I know, and I have an insight to understand some of the personal things outside of, because, you know, when we have coaches and we have people that we mentor, we get to see their representative, if that makes sense. So when people join ACN, we don't see the real them all the time. You want to put your best foot forward. And we usually show people our highlight reels, right? And because I was friends with Marie before she got involved, I knew her, and I got to see the ins and the outs and of her life, and how busy she was, what she was dealing with at work, what she was dealing with at home, what she was focused on, how she missed her parents in the Philippines, how she missed some of the friends she had and experiences, and she was serious. And then what happened with her health, and seeing the courage she had to do something different and to be brave as an incredible woman. I'm honored and privileged to be able to work with you, Marie, and I'm excited for you. I know that this is just the beginning, and you're going to be doing some big things, and ACN is definitely going to know your name. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. And Jabri over there smiling, I see you, man. So thank you too as well. Always doing something thoughtful. That's just the man he is. And ladies and gentlemen, today I wanted to talk about something that was near and dear to my heart, because, you know, I asked some of the leaders, I reached out to them and said, hey, what do you think I should talk about? And, you know, for me, I think about ACN, and I've asked all of you this question before. I've asked you, how many of you can agree that what we actually do is pretty simple? Right? And so I want to re-ask, how many of you agree what we do is pretty simple? I mean, and if you're confused, you're thinking, well, it's hard. Well, I'll ask in detail. So how many of you think it's pretty simple to ask, hey, could you do me a huge favor? Can we agree saying that is pretty simple? Can we agree, hey, can I get your opinion on something? I value your opinion. Can we agree that's pretty simple? That's what we do. You guys realize that that's what we do. And then you think about presenting. All we do is read a slide deck. That's all we do. And so when you start to think about the things that we have to do, they're very simple. But then you ask yourself, well, why don't most people do it? Because, I can get into the technical parts of ACN. I could talk about the compensation plan. I could talk about how we acquire customers, what steps to do to master customer acquisition. I can talk about all these things. And the truth is, there's nothing difficult about doing them. There's nothing that's difficult. So I would waste my breath to talk about it today, because all of these things that you could that I could talk about when it relates to customer acquisition, compensation plan, team building, promoting events, these are all important things, but they're all simple. Matter of fact, you could go to the ACN channel and learn about every single one of those things. You could turn this off right now and go on a study binge and break down every aspect of ACN, because it's all available to you. So if all of it's available and we agree that it's simple, then what are the things that are holding people back? We talked about a few of them last week. And so I want to address one major one that I don't know if we really think about, but it's killing your success right now. It's killing it. It's destroying your success in a way that you may not even know. And when you think about it, it's gonna freak you out. And what I'm talking about is, if you're taking notes, comparison. Comparison is killing you. And you may not even realize it, but it is killing you. On so many levels, it does. And especially in this business, because when we get into ACN, we'll say things like, oh, you just want to duplicate, right? Or you want to mimic the person that showed you the business. You want to do all these things. And yeah, that makes sense. You want to emulate the successful behaviors, but you don't want to become the person. I'm going to say that again. You want to emulate the successful behavior, but you don't want to become the person. I've heard people say, fake it till you make it. No, cut that. Listen, that means if you're faking it, you're phony. And the cool thing about human beings, we recognize that stuff. We recognize it. There's something that happens in your brain and in your heart that connects when someone is being phony, where in your mind you go, ew, like, ew. Have you ever just in your mind just said, ew? Like, I don't know what it is about this person, but they're rubbing me the wrong way. It's probably because they're being phony. And so if you want to rub people the wrong way, fake it, be phony. Or you can choose to stop comparing and stop trying to be like other people and actually do what you knew to do when you were a kid. Just take the first step. See, we do this all the time. Whether it's ACN or whether it's whatever it is that we're learning new, here's what we'll do. We have this weird thing about us as human beings, is we'll look at something we want to learn how to do, and then we'll look at the best people doing it, and we'll overwhelm ourselves with how much we're not like them. And it will discourage us from taking the first step, which is insane, because if you think about it, every one of them had to have taken their first step, right? If they're great at it, they've had to have taken their first step. And if you were to interview every single one of those people, they would say that they were horrible before they were good. But in order to be good, in order to be horrible, they had to be brave enough to take the first step. And the first step probably looked messy. But you don't see the messiness in their amazingness as an expert. You see the polished version, so you assume that you have to be that in order to be great. And here's what's so funny. You may have to be that in order to live the greatness, but you don't get to the greatness by being great. You get to the greatness by going through and building yourself. And it has nothing to do with somebody else. I don't sound like Jocelyn Driscoll. I don't sound like Al Thomas. I don't sound like any of these. I sound like who? Me. Because at the end of the day, I was born into this world to be me, and there's only one of me. And it's harder to try to be like someone else than it is to be like me. And all of the successes that come are going to come through being myself. It doesn't mean that I can't learn certain things that Jocelyn's going to teach me. It doesn't mean that I can't learn certain things that Al Thomas or Dean Tarali are going to teach me. But what you realize about every single one of them, those people, is they're being themselves. It is very difficult to keep up with being someone else when everyone is always changing. It is easier to be like yourself and learn the skills necessary to get results. And so it is one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen in this industry is people try to become their mentor instead of respecting the things that their mentors do, learning the systems that their mentors use, and using that to express who they are. See, what I've learned is when it comes to us as humanity, we're so intelligent that we get so many of the little things wrong. Like I've heard people say, well, you know, I don't want to go into this industry because it's saturated. Have you ever heard someone say that? Like a market is saturated? You guys ever heard someone say that? Have you ever seen a bread aisle in the grocery store? You guys seen a bread aisle? I don't think Sarah Lee is caring about that, right? Like, I don't think the cereal companies care about that. They're not worried about what they're doing. See, when companies start comparing themselves to other companies, that's when they're about to die. If you take a look at what Microsoft was doing in the beginning, they were innovating. Why? Because they were trying to be the best them that they wanted to be. No one else was doing it. They weren't focused on anyone else. They were trying to be the best them. And then Apple showed up. And instead of Microsoft doubling down on what they were great at, instead of Microsoft focusing on what they were great at in the computer space, what they started to do is to start to compare themselves to Apple and try to compete with what Apple was doing. Apple didn't care. Apple was focused on being Apple. And so here's what happened. They started to try to compete with Apple when they weren't Apple. They were trying to do things that were like Apple. And what happened is they got crushed. They got crushed because instead of focusing on being the best version of them they could be, they were looking at trying to copy what Apple was doing because they wanted the success Apple was having, but they missed out on the biggest point. Apple was having that success is because they were getting more clear on who Apple was and being better at bringing who they were to the market. And when they got clear at that, people saw the difference in Apple versus seeing how Microsoft was just like Dell, was just like everyone else. And people gravitated to them because they were different. What I'm trying to say is in ACN, Rick, people are going to gravitate to you because you're different. You have a tribe that is going to gravitate to you. What I'm trying to say, Pat Robinson, is that you're different than Marie Belena, and that's who you're going to attract. But if you, Pat, were trying to be like Marie, then the people that see you would be confused and step away because you seem phony. And what's so sad and so scary is We look at the greats and we say, I'm not like them, so I won't win. The reason why they win is because they weren't like their mentors who introduced them. See, I can attract people that Al Thomas can't. Al Thomas can attract people that I can't. Why am I saying this? Because if I was busy trying to be like Al Thomas, then all the people that Julian Lewis would attract wouldn't sign up in ACN. Are you guys getting this? So if I make the mistake in trying to be like Aaron Burke, then I'm not going to attract people that Julian Lewis would attract, and I'm probably not going to attract a lot of people that Aaron Burke would attract, because I'm being phony. I'm not being myself. And if I get really great at being phony, I lose myself in the process. And so the success doesn't feel great, because I always have to look over my shoulder and check for what the person I'm copying is doing, so that I can continue to upgrade the way they're doing it. It's not organic. It doesn't feel good. And it's not going to be something that's sustainable, because you will always want to be yourself in the end, even if you don't think you do. So that when we look at social media, and people say, you know, social media is horrible because it gets you into a comparison, right? You're always comparing yourself to people's highlight reels. You compare yourself to people that look happy on a website or an app, who have taken 100 pictures so that they can look at all of them and post the best one out of that 100. That before they post it, they tweaked and filtered and photoshopped all of the realness out of it. And you're looking at scrolling through reels of this, and you're comparing their highlight reels that are filtered, photoshopped, and the best out of 100 pictures is selected, to your everyday life. And you're upset because your everyday life doesn't match up on thousands of people's highlight reels. Like, we're so smart, but at the same time, we're not. Because if I sit here and tell you that it's insane to compare your everyday life to someone's highlight reel, you'll agree with me. You'll say, absolutely. We could also agree that some of the happiest looking people on social media can be way more depressed than you are in your regular life. Can we agree this is true? So then why do we do it? Because we're human. We're human. And I'm using social media because we tend to do this stuff in ACN. I want you to think about everything that I just said. I don't want to present. Well, why don't you want to present? Well, because I'm not Al Thomas. I'm not Julian Lewis. You're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be you. The equation to having success didn't say, in order to be successful in ACN, you need to present the information just like Jocelyn Driscoll. You need to ask an opinion just like Julian Lewis. No, it says, in order to be great in ACN, you just need to do these things. And what's so funny is, when you actually just allow yourself to take the first step, and then you actually allow yourself the process to get great at it, getting great at something means that it becomes an expression of who you are. You become an artist. And most people don't really think about it, because we compartmentalize so many things in life that the most powerful, simple things get lost in the shuffle. And here's what I mean. When you see an artist, what do you think about? When you think artists, you think, oh, wow, they're just so great at this. I look at my daughter and I have this picture that I saw yesterday that showed up when she was little. Still does it to this day. Anytime, you know how most teenagers, when they sit down, the first thing they do is what? They take out their what? Yeah, I see those thumbs. Yes, they take out their phone. You know the first thing my daughter does when she sits down? She takes out her drawing book. She's been doing that forever. And I saw this picture that I had taken. We would get to school early when she was younger, and then we would sit and I would turn on the classical music and she'd whip out her book and she'd start drawing. And to this day, what she'll do as a teenager is she'll put on her earphones. And if you listen in there, you'll hear a lot of the old school music that I listen to and classical, Baroque, because what it does is stimulate your brain. So she'll still do that to this day. Now, if you look at her art, it's incredible. Her art's incredible. But her art, here's what her art really is. And I hope somebody gets this today. Her art is her saying as a little girl, I like that. I wonder if I could copy it, or I have this incredible idea. I wonder if I can use this thing to take my idea from my head and put it on paper so other people can see it. I want you to think about this, because I know some of you might be thinking, like, I am so lost right now. I want you to think about this. So when she first started drawing, if I showed you some of the drawings, you could tell what they were, but you could tell that she wasn't, her hand and the pencil wasn't trained yet to where she had mastered the skill. You guys getting this? It wasn't trained yet, but that didn't stop her. She enjoyed drawing. And the more the more she enjoyed the process, the more she actually did it. The more she did it, the more she learned about other things that would make what she was taking in her mind and putting on paper even more clear. She started a journey of mastery. Does that make sense, you guys? And now at 16, she is at a level of mastery in drawing where you would call her an artist. You would call her an artist. You would look at her paintings and her drawings and say, this young lady is a brilliant, budding artist. So then what the hell is an artist? What's an artist? An artist is someone that got excited about something new and was willing to start brand new, learn it, master the thing. And the moment you transition from doing a skill to becoming an artist is when you have mastery of it. It becomes something, it becomes an expression of your DNA. So here's what it means. If you have 5 people that master that skill, every single one of their pieces of art will be different. Why? Because it expresses who they are at their essence. So what does that have to do with ACN? You're not supposed to join ACN and become like me or the leaders. You're just supposed to join ACN and master these things and allow it to become an expression of your DNA. That's when you become an artist at it. Those leaders that you saw on stage this weekend, they're artists at their craft. They're constantly practicing it and they're mastering it. So my recommendation to you is, instead of saying, I want to be just like Chanel Burt, I want to be just like the cowboy, I want to be just like Mr. Swaggerty. Instead of saying that, how about say, I want to be able to be as skilled as they are, so I can be the best me in this craft that I can be. See, the only way that you're going to get there is by deciding to do the work and not trying to be phony or be like anyone else. You have to cut away the comparison. And you have to allow yourself to be willing to make mistakes. If I want to be fit, I will never be fit watching someone else work out. I mean, if that was true, we'd all be ripped, right? So Daryl Rance is like, yeah, man, we all be ripped. I see you over there. So if that was true, we would all be ripped. So if we know that's not true, then why do we try to do that in ACN? We know that's not true in real life physicality. Why do we try to do that in ACN? Why do we think that we're going to be an RD if our RD is doing all of the presentations for us? Interesting. I want that to sink in. I really want that to sink in. So what does that mean? Why do we expect to be a top producing RVP if our top producing RVP is doing all the launching for us? Well, if we know that that's true, we won't be a top producing RVP if they're doing all the work. Then why do we allow them to do all the work? And here's the funny thing. Here's what's funny. We say, because we're not them and they could do a better job than us. But the only way they got to them is being brave enough in the situation you're in right now to step up. See, you'll never bridge that gap. This is where the light bulb moment should be clicking for some of you. You'll never bridge that gap from where you are to where they are if you don't do the things that they had to do to realize their artist form. It'll never happen. See, some of my team members are like, oh, but oh my gosh, how do you know what to say? Like, I don't understand. See, you're just you. You're just special. You're so special. No, we're not. No, we're not. The reason why, if you ask me an objection, I'll give you a similar answer to Jocelyn, isn't because I stole Jocelyn's notes. It's because I've been through thousands of those conversations just like her. And in doing so, I learned that most human beings respond or answer in this way. And so that I can efficiently break it down based on the way they respond, I already probably know, I'm anticipating what direction they're going to go. And in fact, I can have the conversation in my mind first, not because I'm special, but because I've done it thousands of times. So that someone new thinks I'm special and they feel that they're not ready to present or launch or train because they're not where I am, but they'll never get to where I am if they don't have the bravery to start doing it right now. So my question to you is, do you want leaders in your team? How many of you want leaders in your team? Like, be honest. Don't lie to me. Don't raise your hand if you really don't. Okay? You can be honest. I won't look at you crazy. You guys really want leaders? All right. If the only leader in your team, what is a leader in ACN? What would you consider a leader in ACN? You could put it in the comments if you want. What is a leader in ACN? Let me see what you guys are saying. What's a leader? I want to see. No one knows? Willie Crib, last thing I see, it says making sense. What's a leader? But what is that? Leads by example. What is that? What's a leader in ACN? Not like a leader in life. What's a leader in ACN? What's a leader in ACN? What's a leader in ACN? Come on now. What's a leader? What's a leader? I want you guys to really think. The closest I've seen so far is Bob Meyer. Bill Bailey said phase one always. Do me a favor, Mr. Bailey. What is phase one? Do you mind putting that in there? Anita, I like that. That's brave. You said me. What makes you a leader? One who knows the way, and okay. Someone who understands the system. Getting customers, an IBO in action that duplicates. All right, so I'll make it easy for you guys. What are the things we do in ACN? What are the only two things we do in ACN? So we get customers and we enroll IBOs, right? That's the only thing that we do in ACN. So if I'm doing those things without anyone telling me to do those things, then I'm a what? I'm a leader. You guys get it? It's that simple. If I'm doing these things, I'm a leader. Now here's how, I promise this is gonna mess you up. This is how simple ACN is. We know that ACN is attractive to other people, right? How do we know that? Well, because there's 78 of you on here. So it must have been attractive because you guys are on here, right? So listen, I hope you please hear this. If we know that when others see ACN, it's going to be attractive, why is it that if you are enrolling IBOs and acquiring customers, why does that make you a leader? Because you become the what? Example, right? You become the example. And this is not a word, but when you're exampling, you guys get what I'm saying? When you're exampling, it's not a word, just listen to it. When you're exampling, when you're doing the example and people see it, they're exposed to it, the ones that are attracted to your example, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna follow you. We make this way too difficult. So if you're not doing these things, if you're not presenting and you're not enrolling and you're not acquiring, then the people that are signing up in your team, are they following you? Or are they following your leader? They're following your leader. Ding, ding, ding. Does that make sense, guys? So if you want more people to be able to identify, there are only certain people that will identify with me. And since Marie brought me up, I'll say there are people that are in our team because of her that I wouldn't have been able to connect with. I don't speak Tagalog. I don't, right? So that means that if she steps up in her leadership, then she's going to attract people that I could never attract on a higher level. If her team members step up and start presenting and acquiring customers, guess what? They're going to attract people to their leadership that we wouldn't have been able to attract. And that's really what this is all about, guys. When you hear each person doing a little bit, that's what that looks like. So I want you guys to start to understand, turn off the highlight reel. Someone killing it right now is only because when they were at your level, they decided to have the courage to be bad. And if you can have the courage to be bad and continue that process, you're gonna continue the process of mastery in ACN, which is gonna lead you to being an artist in this business, which is when you're on stages and people are like, wow, Rick, you're so amazing. That's when that happens. But they're only realizing the amazing that you had to have been when you had the bravery and the courage to do it when no one was listening, no one was watching, or those same people would have ridiculed you. You don't get to that level without being in that level first. And that's the bridge. If you're saying, I'm saying as a leader, Rick, if you're on my team and you're brand new, and let's just say you were the worst IBO, starts presenting, getting customers ever in history. What I'm saying is that is the path to being the greatest, best you in this business ever. So that is the only path to take in order for you to go RVP. All right. So with that, I'm done, guys. If you have any questions, throw in the chat. Other than that, I hope you got some value out of today's call. I really want you to eliminate thinking you have to go to someone who's better than you, because the better you is going to kill this thing. As long as you allow yourself to get better, you got to allow yourself to do it. And don't shortcut it. Remember, you can't watch Sam Foster work out and think you're going to work out. That's not how it works. You're not going to wake up with a six-pack. It's not going to happen.